Hello, everybody. This is Debo of Debo's Film Reviews, and this week's review will be Reservoir Dogs, starring and directed by Quentin Tarantino as Mr. Brown, Michael Madsen as Mr. Blonde, Tim Roth as Mr. Orange, Eddie Bunker as Mr. Blue, and Steve Buscemi as Mr. Pink. Also starring Lawrence Tierney as Joe Cabot, and Chris Penn as Nice Guy Eddie. What to say about this film other than awesome? I mean, epic soundtrack, epic lowest violence, which is which is not expected for a low budget film like this one. But hey, Tarantino, he takes the cat. He knows how to deliver, and woof, and he did. Especially when it's in order, out of order filming that he's known for films like Reservoir Dogs, which is being reviewed here, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, both 1 and 2, among others. But overall, this one here is legendary. I mean, the most greatest torture scene in movie history. The torture scene excuse me, that trumps all over torture scenes, past, present, and future. I mean, anytime I ever see a torture scene in a movie, I automatically have stuck in the middle playing it in my head thanks to Reservoir Dogs. I mean, come on. It makes. I mean, it's one of the more supposedly superb heist movies ever made. And whew, and it's a great take for a low budgeter, which surprisingly did not actually show the actual heist in the movie, but in the PlayStation 2 video game, you actually get to play along as Mr. Blonde in the game, or to switch between characters for missions and all. As in the game, you're between blue, brown, blonde, and pink, even orange at times. And yeah, especially that fucking traitor. And oof, Tim Roth, he's one of the greatest British actors who has not been Bond. And a damn good actor too. I mean, I'll say everybody was perfect for their roles. I mean, Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen, Lawrence Tierney, Chris Penn, Eddie Bunker, and oof, and that soundtrack though, oof. I mean, I already mentioned how Reservoir Dogs trumps all torture scenes with Stunk in the Middle, Steelers Wheels, and the excellent portrayal of the DJ from Stephen Wright, which I gotta say is about the only thing he's ever done that was good, film-wise. And, of course, funny commentary between scenes or else scenes like at the beginning when they're at the diner and they talking about old music and all, and they'll mention Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And I like my old music, but I'm surprised to find out Vicki Lawrence did the original, because I used to be I only know the Reba McEntire version for a while, for a long time. And surprisingly, I'm surprised the actual the Lawrence song was not in the soundtrack. And oof, talk about some talk about soundtrack. I mean, not only was Stick in the Middle, but you also had Fool for Love, George Baker Selection, and their song Little Green Bag, which is the intro song. And of course, Hooked on a Feeling with that ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga chaka. How about that? And Guardians of the Galaxy is the only two movies I ever associate that damn song with. And oof. And I mean, and back we're trying to mention that video game. I would say prior to that, I almost kind of thought it was flawed, even for a low budget film, to have a heist film and not show the actual heist. And of course, the game also had various takes on whatever happens to Mr. Pink at the end. And woof. I mean, in the game, if you played as a psycho, you're basically, he gets killed by the police. And if you between psycho and smart and calm, he gets arrested, or you only kill when you need to be in the game. He gets away, like in the movie. And also, the movie also answers another plot hole of how whatever happened, how Mr. Blue dies, which it clearly explains the "Dead as Dillinger" line. And, oof, talk about which made sense because, like in the game, it shows how Mr. Blue dies in front of a movie theater, like the actual prohibition and depression era lawman, the gangster. Yeah, I meant to call him lawman, John Dillinger. And of course, excellent portrayals of the characters. I mean, everybody was perfect for said roles. I mean, Buscemi as Pink. I mean, yeah, because you know what Power Rangers and Reservoir Dogs have in common? The only time ever Pink was ever considered a badass. And Reservoir Dogs, oof, Mr. Pink is is a total badass. I mean, going from like he's jacking that car, just yanking that woman out from the window like a Dukes of Hazzard style, and then gets in that car and then he's firing off the cops with just one hand. And oof, and man, and Mr. White in that after the scene after the heist, and he's dual wielding pistols and woof, and just taking down them cops in a hail of bullets. And of course, Mr. Brown, which of course, being Tarantino, he always puts himself in his movies. I mean, a common director trademark. And oof, and that Cadillac Mr. Blonde was driving, which of course was actually out of Madsen's personal garage. And oof, Michael Madsen always knows how to play a damn good gangster. I don't know, it's like cop over it in like 44 minutes in Wyatt Earp from other films that also will be reviewed in the near future. And of course, Madsen, who was also best known for his role in Grand Theft Auto 3, practically the role that made me a fan and branch out to being Tarantino, because I always considered Madsen one of those really underrated guys. And of course, Lawrence Tierney, who also, back to the Dead as Dillinger line, also played Dillinger in a 1945 film. And of course, Chris Penn as Nice Guy Eddie, who I have to say was the superior out of the Penn family of actors, with Sean being his brother, of course. And man, that's a terrible loss. When R.I.P. Chris and R.I.P. Lawrence Tierney, because I don't even know if Eddie Bunker's still alive or not. I'm gonna have to look it up after recording. And and mention it in the Pulp Fiction review whenever I get around to that. But overall, excellent film, excellent suggestion, soundtrack. Oh, and a lot of funny quotes too. I mean, especially with Mr. Blonde and his, "Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?" And he's going points at Mr. White and says, "I bet you're a Lee Marvin fan." And oof. And of course, Mr. Pink and this is the world's smallest violin playing for the waitresses. And oof. And talk about one of the most epic ends when it has the Mexican standoff between Eddie, Joe, and Mr. White, who of course is later revealed to be named some guy named Larry. And in the backstory, it also mentions a chick named Alabama who was in the movie True Romance, which that's for another review, but still canon to the Tarantino verse, though that was not, yeah, not that was a Tony Scott film, but I got to save all that for that review too, though. And oof. And talk about epic ending of how Orange dies, and and then back to the Stuck in the Mill song, and he's trying to burns the cop, right before he burns the cop, and then Orange pulls the whole clip into Blonde, and they're talking because Orange is dying, and the cop's whining about being deformed, and and Orange is like, "Dude, I'm almost dead. Fuck you, man." And of course, with with Tarantino and as Mr. Brown, I mean, like I already mentioned, he already puts himself in his own movies. I mean, that's a take of a great director. And there's how he gets shot and all, and kind of he's just trying to hold Gilly hard, and of course, back to that scene when White shoots them, wields them pistols and takes out those cops, and he and Orange look for that car, and it goes to a Oldsmobile 442, and a woman tries to stop the guys from jacking her ride, and then shoots Orange in the guts, and then Orange shoots her, and then oof, talk about almost make a badassery out of this masterpiece. And I mean, an epic 5 out of 5 masterpiece out of so far, because I mean, especially at the end when it cuts to black and it gets Harry Nilsson's going, "You put the lime in the coconut, drink it all up." Song, and oof, man, you want to talk about epic out of this masterpiece. And then I mean, come on, epic movie. It was an epic game in the PlayStation 2 era, and an epic soundtrack, because the game also finally fills out some long-awaited plot holes the movie had, like I mentioned, of debatable aftermath of Mr. Pink, which Tarantino himself admitted he believes he got away, and of course more clarity on the Dead as Dillinger line I already mentioned with Lawrence Tierney, who also played Darren Dillinger, and that the guy who played Mr. Blue, I mean, was also actually a real life criminal alongside Lawrence Tierney, who had a long rap sheet than Dillinger himself, and was technically a consultant on the film who had a bit cameo. Overall, epic masterpiece. I hope y'all enjoy.